Now, is life what you make it, or does the start you get make you? Those are the questions posed in a 34-year study which followed the lives of dozens of individuals from birth. The process, which began in 1990, tracked 167 babies from families in the inner suburbs of Melbourne. They all had a diverse mix of incomes, education levels and ethnicities. Some lived in public housing, others were homeowners, while some lived in multi-generational and split family environments. For more on this, reporter Daniel Ziffer joins us now from Melbourne. So Dan, what else has the study found?
Well, this is a fascinating qualitative longitudinal study, one of the longest in Australia, that has followed these babies, now 34-year-olds, across their life and seen the impact of family bonds, finances, access to money, but also social policies, things like housing and access to education. It has shown essentially that the start that you get doesn't set your destiny, but it is impacted by things like the strength of family bonds, the ability of families to provide support in tough times, their ability to have a financial buffer to ride out issues in life, as well as that overlay of general trends such as job insecurity and increasing housing insecurity. So there's a lot to unpack from this study that's followed these people for a long time. I was lucky enough to speak to one of the participants, Isabel, and she told me about what it was like looking back on her own life.
I had visions of parts of my life, definitely. I think I always thought, like especially in my 20s, I thought I would have a kid by 30. And then at 30, I thought I would have a kid by 34. And now I'm like, oh, we'll see. So definitely that part of it. And I always thought I would sort of be like this office person with, you know, wearing the fancy suits to work. I didn't have an idea of like what the job would be, but I definitely didn't think I'd be living in my mum's spare room.
Changes in society were also taken into consideration, Dan.
So really immense shifts in that time, very much to do with women joining the workforce in much greater numbers. Still hasn't been a huge shift in the care load between genders, but much greater workforce participation at the same time as the increasing cost of housing in capital cities where most Australians live essentially requires two incomes to try and get into it, much less to get ahead in it. There's a few other elements that we've kind of seen but are put in really stark relief through this research. Things such as the drive to attain higher education is very strong from families, particularly from families who are migrants or families who haven't sent a child to university before. However, what's broken is the link between high educational attainment, such as postgraduate degrees or bachelor degrees beyond schooling, and solid, secure, well-paid employment. What used to be a really strong link between essentially high educational attainment, getting a degree, and then being able to get a well-paid, secure job that would set you up for other things in life, like home ownership, that's been largely broken. You now have people like Isabel with a master's level degree, extremely high postgraduate degree, who can earn more money as a barista than she does in her job as a conservator, the field that she is qualified in. So some really broad societal shifts in this study, which is now ending as many of the participants having children themselves.
So where to next for those participants involved then after being documented all their life?
Well, now they have to assess their own lives in an ongoing manner. The study is finishing because the pool that it's drawn from is shrinking and it's no longer essentially statistically relevant. The other thing is that when they started, a substantial proportion of the respondents were in very low incomes. Now, over time, with many of them gaining financial security, a lot of them are in a higher income band. It's no longer representative of the broader society. So the study ends, but the lessons continue, the biggest one being essentially that government decisions on things like tax, education and housing have substantial impact in the lives of children, the lives of babies, beginning then and beginning now.
Thanks, Dan.